Hi, this is Tammy with Shabby Fabrics. I am so excited to be here today. I have a wonderful project. This is a scallop basket. How cute is this? This is done in the Kringle and Claus collection. We have kits available for this. I'm going to be making one today out of Swell Christmas, which is one of our favorite collections to play with. This pattern is from Christine Poor of Poorhouse Designs. She has graciously allowed us to do a video on this. However, because she has a pattern, we are not going to be revealing any of the measurements that you need to cut your strips to, or cutting, or any type of measurements at all. And there is no download for this video. You would need to buy the pattern, which we do have available on our website. There is a link right below this box that you can click to go look at the kits and the pattern. The other product that we're using today is the Bosal Scalloped foam, and this is an ultimate foam. It's double-sided fusible, so there's fusible on both sides of this, which is really nice. Now I know that these also come in a roll. You can buy just the foam. In the pattern, Christina has graciously given you templates for cutting your scallops. So if you have just the foam, you can actually cut your own scallops. We have chosen to make this using the scallops already done for us because it makes it fast and easy, and I like that. So I'm going to get started and show you how we go from this to this. All right, here we go. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I need to trim my scallop. So I'm going to take a ruler and a friction pen. I love a friction pen because I know that the minute you touch this with an iron, that mark does come off. You will not see this mark because it is on the inside of your basket. So we are simply going to make a mark, corner to corner, and another one, corner to corner, just like this. We're going to go lengthwise as well. And one more. Okay. Now I'm going to cut my corners out. So I'm just going to cut on the line and cut my corners. And you will need 2 of these shapes like this. You're going to need 2 of them. One for the inside and one for the outside. All right. And get this cut. Perfect. All right, just discard your little corner pieces. So you will have 2 of these when you're done. All right, and you're just going to make these and then set them aside, and we are going to do our strip piecing, which is the bottom of the basket and the sides, and then the little end. I'm going to show you how to put this on because it's a little bit different sight picture than I think you would normally expect. So we're going to do that together. All right, so let me set this aside. All right, so we're going to take our strips, and I just laid my strips out in a pleasing manner. Play with your strips, but I have 8 different fabrics here, and in your kit that's what you would be getting. Let's get these laid out here. All right, in Christine's pattern she does give you a lot of tips and tricks throughout the pattern. I really like that. It's a full color pattern, so it's got lots of pictures and it's easy to follow. So I'm going to take my strips, right sides together, sew down this lane, and I would do my strips in pairs. Sew all your pairs together, and then sew these pairs together, and then sew the whole thing together. I have done that ahead of time, right here. Here we go. Perfect. Okay, and I have pressed my seams open. I want this to lay really flat on my Bosal batting. So I pressed all my seams open, just like that. So once you have this piece prepared, you're going to prepare your little piece on the side, and this is just with a smaller strip, same thing, just strip piece these together, and again, I have pressed my seams open. So this is where I'm going to attach them on the sides. So this piece is here, then on my sides, that's what these little pieces are. So we are going to find the center of this, and I'm going to finger press this pretty good, like that. Make a mark. There we go. And I'm just going to take the center of this, which is obviously where that is. There's my mark. And I'm just going to use a Wonder Clip to hang on to this for me today. I love Wonder Clips. They do a variety of things. We're going to do the other side really quick, and then we're going to take this to the sewing machine and sew this down, and I'll show you how I press that. Just like this, matching my center. Now a Wonder Clip, I'm putting the clear side as flat, and I'm putting that on the bottom, because on the bed of your sewing machine, you want that to ride along smoothly. If I have the colored part on the bottom, it's a bump, and so it makes your project wave, and it's not going to work for you as well. So I always make sure I have the clear part, the flat part on the bottom. Okay? So now I'm going to take this to the sewing machine. We're going to stitch this on there, and I'll show you how I pressed it. I'm going to make sure those all stay where I want them to. Okay, we'll do the other side now. All right, so we got that sewn. Now I'm going to press this away from my project. I don't want that seam allowance this side to turn funny. I want that to lay as flat as possible. So we're just simply going to press it up like this. I'll do the other side really quick. I like to set my seam first. Then I finger press it, and then I press it with an iron. There we go. And I did not use any steam on that. I think it's just fine without. Looks like it's nice and flat. We'll clip this out of the way. All right, so this is what your base looks like, which is your stripe, and then it's got your side panels on it. All right, so now once we have this completed, we're going to set this aside, and we're going to work with our facings. And the facing is what is in the very middle of this, and you can just see a little bit on the edges. You don't really see a lot of your facing. So we are going to work with our facings next. I'm going to show you how she does this. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to cut a hole in the center of the facing. All right? So to do that, she gives you the measurements in the pattern, and you're going to measure in both sides like this. I just used a small rotary cutter, and I'm just going to cut this rectangle out. This is not going to show. This is a hidden part that is enclosed in the basket, so you can use scissors or a rotary cutter. It does not need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be clean. You just need to get that rectangle out of there, and a nice piece of fabric for my stash. So this is what my facing now looks like. All right, so once we get our facings, we're going to do 2 of them. So we get our facings prepared. We're going to set those aside, and now we are going to fuse this using one of our pieces. Now remember, I told you that this was fusible on both sides. So you're not going to want to iron it from this side because your iron is going to get all kinds of sticky stuff on it. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an applique pressing sheet. I'm going to turn that upside down, and I'm just going to kind of center this on here so I have at least a 1/4 inch seam allowance on all my sides here. This looks really good. And we're going to flip it just like this. Okay. Now if you think that moved a little bit, you can just check it and just make sure. I think it moved just a little bit when I did that. There we go. There we go. That's good. You see we've got 1/4 inch on either side of our little side here. That looks good. All right, so now I'm going to fuse this from the top, from this side. We're just going to go along, hold your iron down. I'm not using any steam at all. If I use steam on this product tends to wave a little bit. So to keep it nice and flat, I'm just using a very hot iron, and I'm just moving my iron along to fuse this in place. And you note that my pressing sheet is underneath because I don't want it to stick to my ironing surface. In this case, it's my wool pressing mat. But I did this on an ironing board, and I didn't want it to stick to my ironing board. See, it's got a little bit of tack there. It does stick a little bit to that applique pressing sheet. There we go. Get this nice and fused on here. I don't want this to move at all. Beautiful. There we go. Okay, so now it's completely fused on that side. This is fused on there. Now Christine, at this point, is telling you you can quilt this. If you'd like to add quilting stitches to this, you can stitch just straight lines on either side. You could do decorative stitches down the seams with your sewing machine and pretty red thread, whatever you'd want to do. Now, I'm not going to do that today because that's going to take a lot of time. So to save time, I'm not going to pre-quilt this, but you can definitely feel free to do that. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare my buttons, my button loops that go on. So let's do that. I'm going to set this aside because we're going to attach our loops to this as soon as I come back, or as soon as I get that done. All right, so here we go. All right, so I have taken my button loops. To make a button loop, I'm going to fold my fabric in half and give it a little crease. And I'm going to open it up. And I'm going to fold these at raw edges into the middle and press. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Fold that in and press that again, just like that. Okay, now I'm going to fold this entire thing right in half, right on that very first crease that I made. And then I'm going to press it one more time, make sure everybody's laying flat in there. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so now I'm going to stitch this together. And you see how this side is the folded edge? I definitely want to sew this folded edge together first, because if you try to sew this side together, this side is going to come open while you're sewing, and I want these two edges to be perfectly lined up with each other. So I'm definitely going to sew this folded edge first. So I'm going to sew just on this very edge, but I want these, again, I'm sewing this folded edge together first. Okay, I'm going to just stop here with my needle down. I'm going to turn it around, kind of move it a little bit over, pull my thread out a little bit. I'm just going to come right back down. Super quick. Okay, so now we have our button tabs sewn on both sides. So I want to show you how she made the little triangle portion, and mine are done right here. Here's the little triangle portion that you're going to be making when you make a little button tab. Okay, so to do that, you're going to fold your strip in half. I'm going to pinch it together, and then I'm going to open it up right like that. That's how I made my triangle. So what I did was I looked at my fabric, and if I didn't want, like, the white Santa faces are both right there, if I don't want those showing, fold your fabric the opposite direction. Fold it the other way. So I played with mine and folded them both ways just to see which side I like better. And then I did that. And then I folded my V again, just like that. There I see Santa's face, and I like that much better. So I would then take this to the sewing machine and just sew your little triangle in there. And I think you can see on the overhead camera right here how I sewed that little triangle. I just top stitched that in there. And that is where your button is going to go, and it's just going to catch your button. Let's see if we can see it on this one. There it is right there. You can see your button tab. So that V just sits right there and holds the button right in place. Okay, so let's attach our button loops to our project. And I'm going to do that using Wonder Clips. I love Wonder Clips. We're going to use Wonder Clips on this. All right, so we're going to put these on like this. Okay, we're going to be about 1/4 inch below our little scallop, and she tells you that in the pattern. She does give you very good directions in the pattern. She shows you a picture on how to do this. I'm keeping my little V should be up when you do this. All right, oh, my little clips go here. I'm just going to attach this with clips like this. And I'm coming to the edge of my fabric with these because these are going to be enclosed in your seam allowance. All right, and our last one goes on like this. Your V goes up just like that. Okay. All right, so as soon as we get our Wonder Clips, we get everything clipped on here where we want it, I'm actually going to pin these little loops in place because I don't want them to get caught in the seam allowance when we actually go to sew this together. We're going to secure these pretty good here. I don't want to get my button loop flipped over into a seam allowance. That would not be good. We would open this whole thing up and we'd have to start ripping. I'd really rather not seam rip today. So I'm going to use some pins just to make sure we hold them in place. I'm going to put 2 more in here, and we are going to grab our facing and put it right sides together. See, that one wants to move. Let's get that in here. There we go. All right, so we got everything going now. I'm going to take my facing. We're going to place our facing right sides together. So this facing is a solid red, so you're not going to see a right side or a wrong side on this one. If you were using a fabric that had a right side or wrong side, these would definitely be right sides together here. All right, I'm going to turn it over, and we are going to make sure we are centered on our facing. Looks really good. This is good. All right, now I'm going to Wonder Clip this all around. So it's very important, you see now that my pins are hidden, it's very important that you make sure that your pins are completely out of the way so that you're not sewing along and you inadvertently hit a pin. So I made sure to pin these well away from this edge. All right, okay, so I'm just going to Wonder Clip this together. I would rather not have a bunch of pins when I'm sewing this. I'm going to sew around the scallops. I'm going to show you how I do that. Get a bunch of these clips out here. Oop. Just put them all right side up again and make sure my clips are right side up. All right, I think I'm all clipped up. We're going to go to the machine and I'm going to stitch around this. All right. We're going to keep our needle. I'm going to talk to you a little bit first. We're going to keep our needle right next to this foam, but I don't actually want to stitch the foam, so I'm just next to it, right beside it. All right. So I'm going to use red thread when I do that. So if my thread were to pull a little bit, you wouldn't be able to see it against my fabric. All right. Here we go. Okay, so we're back. We have got this done. We are ready to go. We've sewn all the way around it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to trim my seam allowance all the way around this. And I'm going to trim it to about 1/4 inch here. I'm going to use these large clover Bordeaux scissors. I love these things. Now I'm also going to clip into my curve, or my points here. I'm just going to clip in. I'm going to be very careful not to cut my stitching, but I'm going to cut. I'm going to trim my curves here all the way around. Okay, we've got it all trimmed. We're going to turn it over, and now we get to do the fun part. Now we get to flip it right side out. So I made sure I trimmed all of my points are all cut. I believe I got all of those. Let me just double check those before I trim this or turn this. Yep, I got them all. Okay, here we go. So now we're going to turn it right side out. And you're going to be very careful because our pins are still in there and they're holding our little button tabs in place. I'm going to remove those as we go. Here we go. This is so cool. I just love this project. I think these would be perfect for gift giving, to bring as a hostess gift if you were going to a party. There are 3 different sizes in the pattern. We've opted to do this size because I think this size would be perfect for Christmas cards and an entryway table, on a coffee table to hold fruit or all kinds of stuff. All right, I'm going to use a point turner, and I love this thing by Clover. It's got a point which is sharp, but it also has like a spatula end. It is perfect for doing these right here, these curves. Look how nice. This just pops those curves right out exactly where I want them to be. I just love this tool for projects like this. It makes it a lot easier. We're going to go all the way around it here like this. There we go. Very nice. Get all of our edges. All right, there we go. All right, this is our main basket. So we've got that complete. We're going to set this aside, and then we would do this all over again with this. This is the inside of your basket. So we have the red Santa. So again, we would fuse this, and then with our facing, red Santa, right sides together, clip this all around with Wonder Clips, and then stitch that all over again. Now thankfully I've done that ahead of time, so you don't have to watch me do that again. Here we go. Perfect. We have red Santa. Okay, so now I'm simply going to put my facings together like this and line these up, and yay, they match. I love it when that works out like that. Perfect. All right. Now I'm going to clip this together. These Wonder Clips are invaluable on this project. Right now this project is thick, and I think that if I tried to pin this together, I think that I would be bending my pins, and I don't want to ruin my pins. So for that reason, I would definitely suggest Wonder Clips on this project. I find these clips so useful for a variety of DIY projects, and when I'm making bags, when I'm doing handles, anytime you're dealing with something that's thick and you don't want to bend your good pins. All right, so we have it clipped together. Beautiful. I'm going to take my friction pen again, and now I'm going to draw lines so that I can stitch this, which is what's now going to be my fold line. All right, so I'm actually going to sew these 2 pieces together here and here. Just follow that seam allowance, really. This one, I'm definitely going to make sure I draw a nice line. I want it straight, so we're just going to draw it just like this. Make sure I have a nice bold line on there to follow. I'll do the same thing over here. Perfect. All right, so we're going to go to the sewing machine, and I'm just going to sew these lines. I'm just going to sew all the way around this, all right, and attach my 2 together. Okay, so again, I have my Santas here. This is here, and my facings are on the inside, and my little button tabs are just going to poke out and be happy. Okay, here we go. All right, so we have sewn all the way around this. Those are going to be our fold lines. Now I'm going to go ahead and take this back to the machine, and I'm going to top stitch this together. And I just want to keep that stitch even all the way around. I'm probably 1/8 of an inch in. I'm just going to find a mark on my foot and use that mark and just line that up just so that you can just sew. And you don't have to constantly be thinking about where's my seam allowance and if that's even or not. I tend to find a mark on my machine. So let's go to the machine and let's see if we can find that mark together. All right. Okay, so the mark that I'm going to use on my sewing machine is, I know, let me get this thread to behave itself and stay out of our way here. So I'm just going to sew right here. I can see this is the center of my foot right here. That's where my needle is. And I want that to be about 1/8 of an inch. So I know that I have a gap here, this little gap. I'm going to keep that gap consistent as I sew around this and go around my curves. All right, here we go. I'm going to go ahead and back tack in the beginning. All right, here we go. All right, so now we get to take this to the ironing board, and I'm going to turn my steam on because I want this to steam, and I want to set that foam, and I want to make sure I put a really good crease in it right here so that the sides of my basket are going to stand up. And then all that's left are the buttons. Here we go. So I'm just steaming this right on that fold line, right on that line that I already stitched. That I'm just folding that over and just steaming that with a very hot iron. Oh yeah. I'm going to fold it over right where I sewed. It just wants to fold there. The whole thing just wants to go there. It says, yep. I'm good with that. Oh, this is so cute. Undo this side. There we go. All right. There is our basket. We have buttons. So you're just going to set this on here. I would take a friction pen and I would just simply put a mark here, right where I want my button. You have a mark, and sew your button on, and then attach it. Just to finish this up. Isn't that so cute? I love this. I just love these baskets. Now, if you wanted to make this reversible, you could do that. You have your buttons here. Just simply turn it over, go the other way, and then you have Santa's on the outside and your piecework on the inside. Either way, you're good to go. So I want to also let you know that there are 3 sizes available in this basket that Christina has in her pattern. All directions for all 3 sizes are in here. Thank you again to Christine Poor and Poorhouse Designs for letting us show you this amazing project and bring this to you today. We have links below this box for all the products that I've used today, all the notions, the kits that we have available, and the pattern. Feel free to give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed this video. Thanks for hanging in there with me. We'll see you next time on another Shabby Fabrics video.